Liberal councilman who called vets dumb you-know-what finds brutal surprise waiting at work by Dom, the conservative politics U.S. News for MadWorldNews.com. After calling U.S. military members a bunch of dumb you-know-what and the lowest of our low, Pico Rivera city councilman and high school teacher Gregory Salcido arrived at his job to find a perfectly brutal surprise waiting for him. On January 19th, California, you have to know he's from California, California councilman and El Rancho high school teacher Gregory Salcido caused an uproar when he brazenly and unapologetically referred to military men in an outrageously derogatory manner. His vulgar, unhinged rant appeared to be prompted by one of his students wearing a U.S. Marine sweatshirt, causing the liberal educator to fly into a political rage. We've got a bunch of dumb, you-know-what over there, Salcido says in the recording using an expletive. Think about the people who you know who are over there. You're freaking stupid, Uncle Louie, or whatever. They're dumb. They're not like high-level thinkers. They're not academic people. They're not intellectual people. They're the freaking lowest of our low. Wow. Expectedly, Salcido's vitriolic and puerile tirade immediately garnered a national outcry on social media. Still, justice seemed like a hopeless endeavor when Salcido not only backed up his anti-military sentiments but appeared to escape any reprimand at both the high school and city council in which he served. Unfortunately for the deranged liberal educator, the consequences of his actions just caught up with him. According to the Los Angeles Times, Salcido arrived at work in the Pico Rivera City Council chamber on February 13th, where he has worked since his election in 1999. Only to be greeted by a crowd of enraged protesters calling for his termination, including U.S. military veterans, local residents, and even his fellow council members. For several hours, Salcido was forced to endure boos, demands for his resignation, and ceaseless testimonies from constituents railing against the liberal councilman. The protests resulted in a vote taken on a resolution which states that Salcido's words have placed the city under intense national scrutiny and have placed our city under a cloud of dishonor, disparagement, suspicion, and criticism. The council voted 3-1 on the resolution, which also calls on him to step down from his council position, which of course only Salcido voted against. The College Fix reports, and towards the end of the tape you can hear him what he said.
Hello everybody, I'm Elsa Ramon.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jeff Vaughn. Our top story tonight, a local teacher and city councilman whose rant against the military brought national attention and criticism is refusing calls to step down tonight.
Gregory Salcido heard a lot of those calls firsthand as he faced protesters at tonight's city council meeting in Pico Rivera. KCAL 9's Tom Waite was at that meeting tonight, and he's live with what the councilman said there. Tom.
And Elsa and Jeff, I just spoke with him a short time ago, one-on-one. As you said, he is defiant. He says he is not resigning. He says he apologizes if he offended anyone and tried to explain away many of those comments in this speech.
My goal, as it relates to my students related to the military, is to get them to do everything to get to college. It's not just the military. I don't want them to work at a fast food restaurant either. And any comment related to, and it's out of context, I'm talking about their academic standing. I don't think it's at all a revelation to anybody that those who aren't stellar students usually find the military a better option. That's as plain as that it's Tuesday night.
And Salcido's comments there came after several hours of public comment where people blasted him for what he said on that viral video.
Do the right thing. Be a man, stand up, apologize, and resign.
They lined up by the dozens to berate Councilman Gregory Salcido. The councilman, who is also a teacher, made his first public appearance since he was secretly recorded by one of his students at El Rancho High School making disparaging comments about the military. He sat mostly stone-faced as a succession of veterans and ordinary citizens scolded him.
How dare you? How dare you stay there? How dare you have not resigned?
The Marine Corps, the Navy, it saved some of my friends, and some of them didn't make it.
I'm angry at the comments that you've made. The freedoms that you enjoy was because of the blood that was shed for this country.
The crowd was so large, city officials set up TVs and chairs outside to accommodate everyone who showed up. The first item on the council's agenda tonight, a resolution stripping Salcido of his committee posts and a call for him to resign.
If he had any respect for himself, he should resign. The community does not like what they've heard. The nation does not like what he's heard.
They're not like high-level thinkers. They're not academic people. They're not intellectual people. They're the freaking lowest of our low.
The secret recording was made by Victor Quinones. The 12th grader did not attend the meeting tonight. An attorney for him urged the community to let Salcido have due process.
So we feel that confronting Mr. Salcido and his supporters this evening may be counterproductive.
The resolution to strip Salcido of his committee posts did pass, and also on the call for him to resign, but he voted against the resolution and says again he has no intention to resign. The council does not have the power to remove him from office. There is now a recall effort underway. Reporting live in Pico Rivera, I'm Tom Wade. Back to you in the studio.
Well, I just have to say he's a disgrace. Dozens took to the podium to not only show their support for the military, but to demand Salcido's resignation. At least 80 protesters packed the chamber, while more than 100 others expressed their support for Salcido's termination outside the council house. He's disgraced us, disgraced the city, disgraced this nation, said Councilman Bob Archuleta, the council's only veteran, who also has 2 sons in the military on active duty. I'm shaking right now because I'm pissed off and angry, said Irvin resident Eric Martinez, who grew up in Pico Rivera. I just thank God that I can refrain from jumping over this podium to get you. Several veterans in attendance also expressed their disappointments in Salcido's absurd anti-military diatribe. Likewise, veterans Art Sanchez, who spent 30 years in the U.S. Army, and Anthony Dovalli, who served for 8 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, lambasted the councilman for his ignorant and hateful comments. I didn't get to first sergeant without any school, Sanchez said. We're not idiots. He thinks we're stupid. I went to college as soon as I came out. I got my AA and I got my bachelor's, Dovalli said, wearing a Vietnam Semper Fi hat. We want to let him know that it's not fair for him to speak the way he spoke, especially in a high school where he's teaching all the young people. Although Salcido is finally facing the consequences of his actions, he still insists that he's the victim and doesn't deserve such a backlash. Sociopath. He maintains a sense of arrogance and remorselessness even after being confronted by veterans, voters, and council members. Well, he told reporters during a break in the meeting that this is probably the most exaggerated situation I've ever seen, and he said he apologizes if he offended anyone. I do believe the military is not the best option for my students. That does not mean I'm anti-military, because I'm not, he said. The people are showing Salcido that while he has the right to express his opinions, he doesn't have the right to escape the consequences of his words. Likewise, the people are expressing their right to protest for his removal from office, showcasing the wonderfully democratic process in action. Well, you know, you don't speak like that and hold public office, and the only reason you have those freedoms, it is due to the military. So he is a disgraceful human being, but he also is sick. You can see it. He, you know, anybody else would have said, oh my, you know, I was something, apologize, say something. But he stood there adamantly saying, you know, it's as plain as Tuesday. So what do you do about that? He's a nut job. Why should he be holding public office? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.